Hi Tim, it's Mike here. I've had a little bit more time to think about my reaction. I've just watched your reply to people who sent in videos. I'm still curious to know, forgive me if I missed it, your opinion about the part of the Constitution which allows Americans to bear arms, gives them a right. Um, I think this is something that America should have grown out of because, forgive me if that's a patronising way of putting it, which I guess it may sound, but that's not really what I mean. It just seems to me that, you know, it would make sense to have a right to bear arms in the Wild West. You know, if we judge the Wild West by the cowboy films that we see and by some of the history that we've heard, Jesse James and all that sort of stuff, that seems to me a period of time where you may say, you know, should have a right to bear arms. But in a modern society, should it not be the case that it's just the law enforcement agencies and the armed forces who should have arms? I would suggest that it probably is. I know you're a former military man, and I'm sure that you do have an opinion on that. I'd be interested to see it and hear it. I mean, if you feel that's something that you would want to do more directly, then I'd look forward to seeing a direct response from you. Um, I've just interrupted your video about your continued video about what happens with the brain, and I'll go back to that. But as I alluded to in other videos to you, I had a very severe mental illness, as you know, when I jumped off a multi-storey car park. And with all this, and with other big events where people's psychology is being examined by the media, it had me thinking, and I thought, thank God that when I was going through an extremely self-destructive period, that I aimed it internally. Because I'm 6'1" when I stand up, and I'm quite a powerful individual. And if I'd have chosen to lash out instead of lash in, but for the grace of God go I. I'm still here, and I'm so glad that I didn't get into a situation where I wanted to kill a whole load of people. But I do feel it's a tremendously fine line, which when you're in that sort of state, decides whether you take it internally or externally. What frustrates me somewhat, and it's probably a good thing in some ways, but it's pretty clear to me that most of the people who pontificate about these things in the media have never been in a situation where they've lost their mind. Now, I don't know if you have, but I have, and it is desperately frightening. Desperately frightening. And it scares me because we see these things happening overseas, and we have incidents here where people commit crime because they've been released from mental institutions at a time when they're clearly not ready, which also scares me because I know just what fantastic work those mental institutions can be, and care in the community, in many cases in this country, has not proved successful. The idea was that the great big Victorian imposing institutions were not right for the modern world. But